Elvis Presley styles his cousin Billy Smith's hair on the set of Loving You, 1957. Woman arranges the stockings on a pair of giant legs, New York, 1951. Irish hero, Antarctic explorer, Tom Crean, 1915. The smallest gas station in the world, Detroit, 1930s. Buffalo Hide Yard in Dodge City, Kansas in 1878. It shows 40,000 buffalo hides. When Paris turned into a Venetian canal during the Great Flood of 1910. A Lancaster at a watering hole, RAF British Lancaster bomber, 47. Meeting under the English Channel between Great Britain and France, 1990. The Convair Model 118 Convair car, 1948. Monica Bellucci for Vogue Italy, 1994. Marilyn Monroe, 1953. Ronald and Nancy Reagan with Rock Hudson at a White House state dinner on May 15, 1984. Hudson is HIV positive in this photo, though he is not yet aware of this. Frankfurter Queen, 1959. Women attempting to swim on dry land, early 20th century. Looking out the window of Apollo 11, July 1969. Mino is a traditional Japanese straw raincoat. Children wearing Mino straw raincoats on their way to a New Year's event, Niigata, 1956. Buying compact discs at the record store in the 1980s. A Greyhound driver checks tickets in Columbus, Ohio, 1943. A new funeral home service, 1977, United States. In the United States, you can not only buy fast food without leaving your car, but also, for example, watch a movie or send mail. And some funeral homes offered this service for saying goodbye to the deceased. The Strongman of Engine Company. 13. Harry F. Griffin, Los Angeles Fire Department. Japanese and German children sing songs during a Hitler Youth trip to Japan, 1938. Future French President Jacques Chirac, around 1957. Girls jump off a stone wall in Fort Greene, New York City, 1886. Wilhelm Hippert showing off the high-altitude oxygen apparatus used by German pilots during World War I, 1917. Photo cutouts, early 20th century. F6. F. Hellcat pilots of VF-16 celebrate after shooting down 17 out of 20 Japanese planes heading for Tarawa, November 1943. All Sergeant Bernard Young lacks as a private secretary to complete his office setting. On May 3, 1951, the Detroit, Michigan military policeman takes his ease in almost deserted Chuncheon, South Korea. Crowds in Algiers celebrating Algeria's Independence Day in the city center, July 1962. Audrey Hepburn with her 9-year-old son, Sean. United States Army Observer Group visiting Yan'an in 1944 with Mao Zedong and Peng Dehuai. Jay Roliano bears the weight of a Citroen car running over his chest, 1932. Auto repair shop, Whittier, California, early 20th century. A roller skate race, 1923, France. The Soviet M13 is a supercomputer commissioned in 1984 and considered the most powerful system in the world at the time of its introduction. Neil Armstrong's family is watching him launch to the moon in 1969. A London Home Guard member demonstrates a street-fighting camouflage made from old wallpaper, 1942. Double exposure publicity image for an 1887 stage production of The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, starring Richard Mansfield. An entire family gets involved with a house move, with children watching on as the horses cart their heavy load. Henry Gaither was one of the few free blacks. When the Civil War began, Gaither and his regiment fought in the Union Army. A suitably attired woman attends a Tupperware party, 1955. George Harrison, 18 years old, in Hamburg, Germany in 1961. Joe Tejada in 1958, later known as Raquel Welch, before she was reconstructed by Hollywood. Schlupfkap, Alsace's iconic traditional headdress. A family gets ready for a long trip, early 20th century. Native American mother and her child, 1902. United States President Roosevelt's daughter, Alice Roosevelt, visited China in 1905 during China's Century of Humiliation. A prison photo of future serial killer Henry Lee Lucas at the Virginia State Penitentiary. He served 5 years at the penitentiary for a grand larceny conviction, Richmond, 1954. Ava Gardner in the 1960s. The boy has partial gigantism. Santa sunbathes after a day of work. This took place in Florida in 1964. Carol Spinney operating Oscar the Grouch while wearing his big bird legs in 1980. High school girl cheerleaders wearing sweaters and skirts leaping high in the air during their vigorous cheers at the basketball game, 1953. Around 1900, the Sternberg Brewery used special wagons to transport beer. King George I of Greece, visiting Tsar Ferdinand I of Bulgaria at the headquarters of the Bulgarian army, city of Thessaloniki, during the First Balkan War, 1912-13. Londoners watch Winston Churchill's funeral from the roof of a bombed-out building, 1965. The line to see the Goonies is incredible. Construction of the World Trade Center antenna in New York City, 1979. Egyptian soldiers raise the Egyptian flag over Sinai after its liberation during the October 1973 war. Behind the wheel of a Buick, 1910. All right, a beauty salon from 1958. Ballerina Marina Franca dressed as a peacock at a ball at the fashionable Waldorf Astoria Hotel in Manhattan, New York in 1941. When Cleveland released 1.5 million balloons and 2 men died 1986. The event was intended to be a harmless fundraising publicity stunt, but the balloons landed in the surrounding area and caused problems for traffic and a nearby airport. John Clem with his brother. John Clem, who enlisted at age 12, was the youngest sergeant in the United States Army during the Civil War. Ornella Muti, 1978. A reporter interviews a member of an ethnic mafia during the arrest. Russia, Moscow, October 1991. Queen Victoria and Prince Albert in a reenactment of their marriage ceremony circa 1854. Notre Dame. Paris was protected with sandbags and masking tape, 1914 to 1918. Autochrome shot of a Bali dancer in 1916. Guide Rangitiaria Denon of Ngati Tarawahi tribe, walking with First Lady of the United States Eleanor Roosevelt at Wakarawarewa, Rotorua. During Eleanor's visit to New Zealand, photographed by John Dobry Pascoe in 1943, the girls of the 1980s. Detroit riot 1967. Detroit police officer standing guard over a grocery store which was looted and damaged during the riot. Anna Nicole Smith in the 90s. Anthony Martin of the Committee to Fight Microsoft Corporation distributes leaflets outside a downtown Manhattan computer store, warning consumers not to purchase Windows 95. Keith Moon and Iggy Pop are partying with a lust for life around 1975. Miss America 1922, Margaret Gorman. There she is, the very first Miss America. Margaret Gorman dons her best Americana garb on September 6, 1922, in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Westchester County correctional officers in New York, in charge of inmates in the hospital ward, wear special garb due to the uncertainty of AIDS, June 15, 1983. A pair of bears perform at the Amsterdam Circus and even know how to box in proper athletic attire, 1928. An officer of the Taman Division tears down the Soviet flag removed from the White House, Moscow, 1993. Blanche Dumas, a French courtesan born with 3 legs and 4 breasts. John F. Kennedy is holding a football outdoors in Bronxville, New York, circa 1936. Jack, shown here at age 19, attended the elite boarding school Choate in Connecticut, and would then go on to Harvard. Shoshone tribe members dance on a Native American reservation at Fort Washakie, Wyoming, 1892. Those 1939 predictions about what fashion would look like in the year 2000 are also funny to see now. Fissures in a country road in Murchison, New Zealand, following the earthquake there in 1929. Rowan Atkinson was at the North Community Centre in London in April of 1980. Soviet leaders carrying the urn of Russian Soviet writer Maxim Gorky during his funeral in Moscow, June 1936. A pilot watches as napalm hits positions, 1962, Vietnam. Stepping out in new shoes, circa 1940s. Unemployed men sit outside their makeshift homes in Lower Manhattan, 1935. Soviet oil being supplied to Germany following the signing of the German and Soviet Commercial Agreement, February 1940. "16-year-old AIDS patient Ryan White at his new school. Ryan White had to leave his last school because the administration refused to let him attend. They were afraid that his condition was a threat to the other kids." Indiana, January 1st, 1987. The evidence storage room is at a police station. This is in Paris, 1954. Kim Basinger, 1989. Elizabeth Taylor at a boxing match in New York City, 1960. Office of the Future, New York World's Fair, 1964. Rita Hayworth in Bob Landry's iconic Photo for Life, 1941, the birth of a new pin-up queen. Justin Timberlake yearbook photo. Arrested protesters of the Vietnam War, 1971. Sofia Vergara from 1995. Eugene W. Smith and his scout dog relax on the island of Guam, August 1944. Orbit Soda 90s. John and Jim Belushi in the 1980s. Freaky high school fashion of the hippie era, 1969. Kaiser Wilhelm II and former United States President Theodore Roosevelt at military maneuvers in Germany, 1910. Cindy Crawford, 1988. Miss Sweden Anita Ekberg in the 1950s. A cross and wreath stand on the beach as a Coast Guard cutter heads out to search for debris from the Challenger explosion, February 1986. Advertising Vaz 2101 Jaguli, 1970s. Gary Oldman and Natalie Portman on set of Leon the Professional, 1994. Mariah Carey, the 90s. Men's hairstyle from the 1970s. Fidel Castro in prison in July 1953 after the attack on the Moncada barracks. Harry Man Burma. Michael Jackson met Princess Diana in 1988. Alfred Hitchcock out for a stroll with his wife and daughter. Dogs Edward IX and Mr. Jenkins. Fall 1939. Dana Delaney, 1980. Around 1916, victims of a World War I chlorine gas attack. Barbara Eden with Johnny Carson before he had The Tonight Show, early 1960s. A girl at an IBM System 360 Model 85, January 18, 1971, United States. Britain's King George VI broadcasts to the British nation on the first evening of the war, on September 3, 1939, in London. Firefighters rush to a call, 1910. Brittany Murphy, 1998. German Cavalry Division on Maneuvers German Empire, 1912.